Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Om Akhandananda Sambodha Bandhanat Yasya Jayate Govindam Tamaham Vande Chidananda Tanum Gurum. So, yesterday we saw Aptru Apyayostu Bhedaschet Aptra Cha Apyam Avapyate. Aptru Surupameva Yetat Brahma Na Apyam Kadachana. If the gainer and the gained is different, there is a duality of the gainer and gained, then surely the gainer will gain the object of gaining, whatever it is. If I am different from the village, I will gain the village. If I am different from heaven, I will gain the heaven by doing some actions, definitely. So, but whatever you desire to gain, that Brahman is your inherent nature. How can you gain that? The difference here, you have to understand this. See, there are 4 types of karma we saw yesterday. Okay. So, the first is a utpatti, utpadyam, to create, to generate. Whatever didn't exist earlier is created now. Whatever was absent earlier is made existent now. That is the first type. The second type is apyam. It already exists, but I have not gained it. I am doing some action to gain it. Okay. So first one is absent existence. Second one is already existence. I am gaining it. Third one is I have already gained it, but it is not proper. So I am doing some actions to make it proper. Fourth one is I am converting it into a different form. So now, after doing this, he says, third kind of thing, which is a saṃskārya. He is getting into that. malinasyaiva saṃskāro darpaṇāderiheṣyate vyomavannityaśuddhasya brahmaṇo'sti saṃskriyā. He is negating the possibility of purification also in Brahman. Why? malinasyaiva saṃskārah darpaṇāderiheṣyate vyomavannityaśuddhasya brahmaṇah naiva saṃskriyā. Naiva saṃskriyā. He says, malinasya darpaṇādehe eva. Malinasya, impure. Darpaṇādehe, the mirror, etc. Eva, only. Iha saṃskāra yujyeta. We desire, we accept. Yujyeta here is to accept, not desire actually. Okay. We accept the purification. Like we have a very impure, dirty kind of mirror or glass. We use water or something to clean it. Normally what we do in here in South India especially is if we have a mirror or a glass which needs to be, glass pane which needs to be cleaned, we mix some ash into it, either sacred ash or normal ash from some fireplace. Take that, mix it with little bit of water, sprinkle that, and use newspaper to wipe it off. The glass pane will sparkle. Okay. Now, this is an example, important example. Okay. So, what we say is only when it is impure, we do this activity to clean it so that it reflects the mirror reflects the image. Or we are able to use see the other side of the glass, whatever exists in the other side. So yujyete, only there we do these kind of activities. Vyomavannityaśuddhasya brahmanah, the Brahman, which is a vyomavat, which is like ether, space, nityashuddhasya, which is ever pure. Like space is ever pure, it cannot be associated with any kind of impurity. Talamalinasyaiva, we say the kids see the roof or the dirtiness in the sky. It can never become dirty or impure. That is the nature of sky. Okay. So similarly, the self also is all pervasive and pure. That Brahman, saṃskriyā naiva yujyeta. Yujyeta you have to carry here also, like with daily dipanyaya, you have to add this. We don't accept the saṃskāra here also to gain that pure self. There can be no saṃskāra possible in the pure self, because this is said because the Shaiva Siddhantins, the people who proclaim the system of Shaivism or Vaishnavism or any other philosophy, especially in Shaiva's philosophy, they say that this self is made impure because of three kinds of mala. Three kinds of mala. One is anava mala, the other is kanma mala, then is maya mala. Okay, ego, which is impurity, anava, karma, which is another impurity, then the third is ignorance. These three malas, these three impurities prevent us from gaining our self or the nature or the Ishvara or whatever. We don't accept any of those kind of association. The self is ever pure. That is the statement of Vedanta. That is the understanding of Vedanta. Okay. Now, kena duṣṭena yujyeta vastu nirmalamakriyam yadyogādāgataṃ doṣaṃ saṃskāro vinivartayet. To stress the same idea, he is using another shloka. He says, kena duṣṭena yujyeta vastu nirmalamakriyam yadyogādāgataṃ doṣaṃ saṃskāro vinivartayet. yadyogādāgataṃ doṣaṃ. Because of some association, some defects may arise. That defect, vinivartayet, is there is saṃskāra vinivartayet. There is a possibility of the saṃskāra to negate it, to remove it. There is a possibility. That's okay. We accept that in the karmas also. In karma kanda, what we do is we take this rice or whatever we need for the fire oblation or any function. We sprinkle little bit of water with mantra so that it purified. The water is not soaked in water or immersed in water, or the water will not be split on each grain of rice. No, we just sprinkle. That's all. But it is accepted to purify the rice or the grains. So thus, because of some association with something, it may be accepted to be impure. So we purify it. That is possible. If there is an association with something, there is always impurity. Association begets impurity. That is the idea. Okay. Now, yoga, because of association, dosha is gained, and that is removed through saṃskāra. Fine. Kena duṣṭena nirmalamakriyam vastu yujyeta. What kind of defect will this Brahman be associated with? Kena duṣṭena yujyeta. nirmalamakriyam vastu. Akriyam vastu, nirmalam vastu, kena duṣṭena yujyeta. What kind of defect can there be? This Brahman, this vastu, this Brahman can be associated with the Brahman which is a nirmalam, devoid of any impurity. Mala, impurity, devoid of any impurity. And akriyam, devoid of any activity. So, where can there be any kind of only when there is an activity, there is impurity possible. Only when there is impurity, there can be a saṃskāra possible. When there is no activity or impurity, how can you be doing a saṃskāra, doing a purificator, right, to purify that? That is not possible. Now, to go to stress that again, he says, see, we already saw there are two ways to purify something. One is by removing the impurity. The other is by adding some impurity. Both ways we can purify it. Like yesterday I said, the gold we remove from the earth. It has some impurity. So what we do? We wash it with water. Then we burn it melt it in fire, and we remove the impurities. Okay. Now, after gaining the pure form of gold, this pure form of gold it is useless actually. It cannot be made into any kind of ornament. So to make it an ornament, what we do is we add some impurity, copper or some material we add, so that we can malleate it, you can use it, you can design, you can bend it and make whatever designs you want, right? So removing is also to make it pure, And adding something is also to make it pure. There is a possibility to make it pure. Like water sprinkling also, you add something to make it pure. So here also, like the food, we add some ghee, it is purified. So here also, maybe adding something may purify it. If that is the doubt, he says, nirguṇasya guṇādhānam api naivopapadyate kevalo nirguṇaśceti nairguṇyaṃ śrūyate yataḥ nirguṇasya guṇādhānamapi naivopapadyate kevalah nirguṇaśceti nairguṇyaṃ śrūyate yataḥ kevalo nirguṇasya. Shvetashadra Upanishad says, Brahman is kevalaha, one non-dual, nirguṇasya, without any attributes. Kevalaha means alone, individual, uno, absolute. There is nothing other than self, and attributeless. Because there is nothing other than self, it cannot be associated with anything. And because it is attributeless, there can be no attributes associated with that self. Okay, whichever way you say. So, iti nairguṇyaṃ yataḥ śrūyate. Since the Shruti very clearly establishes the self to be attributeless. Nirguṇasya guṇādhānamapi naivopapadyate. Since it is attributeless, it cannot be associated with any attribute. What kind of attribute you can associate it with it? That also is impossible. Associating it with some guna attribute is also impossible, because this itself inherently is a attributeless, alone, individual. There's nothing which it can be associated with. I don't understand this shloka. Right? Yeah. Let us see that later. Sāvayavasya kṣīrādervastunaḥ pariṇāminaḥ yena kena vikāritvaṃ śānno niṣkarmavastunaḥ. So now we come to the fourth type of activity, karma, called vikari. Right? So this shloka, remember the previous shloka we said, whatever is attributeless, which does not have any kind of attribute, cannot be associated with attributes. Okay? Now, with that which does not have any attributes, that cannot be attributed. This is the idea. Okay? Remember this. We'll come to this in the next shloka, not this one. This is the fourth negation of the fourth one, which is the parinama, vikārya. Okay? He says, sāvayavasya kṣīrādervastunaḥ pariṇāminaḥ yena kena vikāritvaṃ syāt. No niṣkarmavastunaḥ. Sāvayavasya pariṇāminaḥ kṣīrādehe. Kṣīrādehe, the milk, etc., which is a with attribute, with limbs. Avayava means limb. Saavayava means with limbs, attributes, parts. Pariṇāminaḥ, with limbs, with parts, with attributes, will always have the property of transformation. So it is that which undergoes transformation, like milk, etc. That is the example he gives. Milk, etc., has attributes. Milk, etc., has parts, limbs. Therefore, it can transform. It can transform from one form to another, from milk to become curd. Similarly, we say the clay also has a limbs. Clay also is that which can undergo transformation. Therefore, it transforms itself into pot. That is why we say that clay into pot is example for the first type of karma, also for the last type of karma also. I said this, right? So he says, yena kena vikāritvaṃ syāt. So some way, by some activity or other, you can bring a transformation to it. If it is something which parts, which limbs, with attributes, and which has the quality of transforming, then you can do something or other, some activity or other to bring transformations. But niṣkarmavastunaḥ, no vikāritvaṃ. Vikāritvaṃ, you have to Dehalidipanya again, you have to bring in here. The Brahman, which is niṣkarma, which is activityless, there can be no kind of transformation. That which does not have attribute, that which does not have activity, cannot be transformed. Again, still I didn't understand this. Okay, now be careful about this. Niṣkalaṃ, niṣkriyam, śāntaṃ, niravatyam, niranjanam, itye vastu tattam, śrutiyukti vyavasthitam. Niṣkalaṃ, niṣkriyam, śāntaṃ, niravadyam, niranjanam, iti eva vastunaḥ tattam, śrutiyukti vyavasthitam. Niṣkalaṃ. Niṣkalaṃ means, kalam means kalanka, impurity. Okay. Niṣkala means devoid of impurity. It can also be accepted as devoid of limbs, devoid of parts. Kala also can be parts or limbs. Okay. Niṣkalam, devoid of impurity. Niṣkalam, devoid of limbs. Okay. Now, that which is impure or that which is with limbs will undergo activity. If it has a limbs or if it has a parts or attributes, then it will undergo activity. But this, since it does not have any limb attribute or parts, niṣkriyaṃ, self is niṣkriyaṃ, activityless. If something is with activity, then there can be no peace. Since this is a devoid of activity, śāntaṃ, tranquil, peace. There is no change. Okay. And if it is not shanta, if it is ashanta, if there is no peace in it, then there will be avadyam, defects. Avadya means defects. There will be some defect or other. If it is not pure, if it is not a peace, that we get some defect. Since it is śāntaṃ, it is a niravadyam, devoid of any defects. Okay. Now, if it is defective, then it has to have some association or other. Any kind of defect has some association. That is why the defect arises. Since this is defectless, therefore niranjanam. Anjana means association, impurity. Anjana rahitam, it is associationless. Now, do you understand? The previous shloka, he said, whatever is sāvayava and parināmi, that will undergo vikari. Do you understand now this? So he says, if it has impurity, it will, if it has limb, it will be activity. It will have activity. If it has activity, it will not be at peace. If it is not at peace, there will be some defect or other. If it is defective, then there is some association or other possible. But since all these are absent here, how do you know they are all absent? Itye vastunaḥ tattam śrutiyuktibihi vyavasthitam. This is how the vastu means Brahman, the nature of the self, is established by the shruti and by the logic. So, tattvam means inherent nature. The inherent nature of the vastu self is established through the shruti and logic. Okay, now he is concluding this discussion. Tasmat na karma sadhyam brahmaṇo'sti kutascana karma sadhyam tu anityam hi brahmanityam sanatanam. Tasmat na karma sadhyatvam brahmaṇah asti kutascana karma sadhyam tu anityam hi brahmanityam sanatanam. Tasmat, therefore, brahmaṇah karma sadhyatvam kutascana nasti, na kutascana asti. The Brahman cannot be gained through any kind of activity. Brahman is not something which can be gained as a result through activity. Karma sadhyatvam, gained as a result through activity. There is no possibility of Brahman being gained as a result of any activity. Kutascana nasti. Okay. Karma sadhyatvam tu anityam. And whatever is gained through karma is established as anitya, non-eternal. Whatever is gained through karma is non-eternal. Yat kritakam tat anityam. We saw this logic also. That which is created, that which is gained through activity is limited. Sanatanam Brahma nityam hi. And this Brahman which we are talking about is eternal. So, and this is how the Shruti and Yukti gives us, establishes the Brahman. Now, right. whatever is gained through karma is non-eternal. And Brahman is eternal, or Brahman or the cause is eternal. Therefore, the cause, the self cannot be gained through karmas. So what is the use of karmas? So we have to give up the karmas. That is why when we asked about what uparati is, he clearly established first, before establishing uparati, he said sannyasa. He said giving a pronunciation of karmas is the uparati. So now he comes back to that, the importance of sannyasa. He says, देहादिक्षीयते लोकः यथैवं कर्मणाचितः तथैव आमुष्मिको लोकः संचितः पुण्यकर्मणा. देहादिक्षीयते लोकः यथा एवं कर्मणाचितः तथा एव आमुष्मिको लोकः संचितः पुण्यकर्मणा. यथा कर्मचितो लोक क्षीयते एवं एव आमुष्मिन् पुण्यतुष्टितो लोक क्षीयते. That is a statement. As the karma chitaha, karma chin China is the root word. The that which is collected through karmas, the world, lokaha, the world that is collected through, gained through karmas, kshiyate, gets destroyed. Evam eva. Similarly, punyachito loka, amushmin punyachiti, the other world which is gained through the punya also is limited, also gets destroyed. That is why we add up another statement, kshine punya martya loke vishanti. After the punyas are extinguished, we come back to the mortal world. So that statement of the Vedas is brought here, not verbatim, but as though verbatim. Okay. Evam yatha karmana chitaha dehadi lokaha, the body, etc. How do you gain the body? We have in Vedanta an explanation. We call it is all because of karma. If you have very good karma, the punya karma, you will be born in the heaven. If you have a very bad karma, you will be born in the hell. If you have higher good karma and less bad karma, you will be born a human being. If you have higher bad karma and less good karma, you will be born as a cat, dog, etc. Okay. Now, this body is gained through karma. This does not make it eternal. Your body comes to an end. We know this. That is why he says, dehadi loka kshiyate, the body, etc. world, this gets destroyed. We know that. Tathaiva, as the body, etc., which is gained through the karma, gets destroyed. Similarly, punya karmana sanchita amushmin loka, the other world which you gained through the punya karma or the papa karma, even the hell, it's not eternal. You go there, you extinguish your punya or papa, whatever, you come back. You have to come back here. This is the only place you have to come back. There is no other way. So, like you go to dream or deep sleep, you cannot stay there. You have to come back to the waking state. Like that, this mortal world is like a waking state. You have to go to dream or deep sleep. You have to come back here. So, he says, even similarly, the punya karma, the world gained through the punya karma, will also extinguish. Okay. Now, kshiyate, you have to carry forward here, the Dipanyaya. Okay. How do you say this? He is bringing the logic. Kritakattam anityatve hetuhu jagarti sarvada tasmat anitye swargado pandita ko na muhyati. Kritakattam anityatve hetuhu jagarti sarvada tasmat anitye swargado pandita ko na muhyati. Anityatve hetuhu kritakattam. Anityate, for establishing something to be non-eternal, hetuhu, the reason given is kritakattam. It is something which is created. That which is created is limited. You know that. Yat kritakam tadanityam. That is exactly what he is saying. See, the reason is kritaka. The effect is anitya. Okay. So, sarvada jagarti. And this every Vedic statement establishes this. Every place you have this idea. Whatever is created, you understand this idea. Whatever is created is non-eternal. Right? So, tasmat, therefore, anitye swargado. In the anitya, heaven, etc., pandita konu mushyati. Which kind of pandit will be? Mushyati means he will become deluded. No one will become deluded. Jagat hetostu nityattam sarveshampi sammatam. Jagat hetum tvam asyaiva bhavaditi shrutirmuhu. This is another beautiful statement. Jagat hetoho tu nityattam sarveshampi sammatam. Jagat hetuttam asyaiva bhavaditi shrutihi muhu. Jagat hetoho nityattam. One second. I think there is a problem with the water. Some goats. Okay. So, Jagat hetoho nityattam sarveshampi sammatam. Jagat hetuttam asyaiva bhavaditi shrutihi muhu. Jagat hetoho nityattam. The cause for the world, nityattam sarveshampi sammatam. All the philosophers accept whatever cause they accept the cause to be eternal. Whatever they accept, whether they accept Ishvara or they accept Shunya or they accept anything Brahman, they accept it to be eternal. We have to understand this very clearly. The cause for the creation is eternal. How do you know the Brahman is cause? Shruti very clearly says. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantya visamshanti tat vijiknyasasva tat brahmeti. What is Brahman? Desire to know that what is that the Brahman, which is the cause from which all these come into existence, which is in which everything is sustained and into which everything merges. That is what is Brahman. Desire to know that. So the Brahman is established to be the cause for the creation. So he says, Nityattam Sarvesham Sammatam. Everyone accepts. We have to understand something also here. Everyone accepts. Just because everyone accepts does not make something true. Like, what is truth in the world? Truth is just a construct in the world. That is a statement. Truth is just a construct. We got liberated from the foreign rule. Okay. Who brought us this freedom? Oh, this person, that person. We were taught some few peoples were responsible for that, and we only know that. The history is like that. Whichever great person they want to highlight as great person, even he may not be a great person, we understand him to be a great person. And whichever great person we don't want to accept as great person, if he is not highlighted or if he is highlighted as not great person, we accept that. That is what our history is. Whichever history, whether in this country or any country, they are just constructs. Now he says Nityattam. But in Vedanta, it is different. We say whatever we see as construct, they are all based on the self. They have the substratum as the self. Okay, he says, Jagat hetoho nityattam sarveshampi sammatam. That is why when people say we are running behind this eternality, it is not true actually. Since there is nothing other than Brahman, there can be no eternal and non-eternal ideas, etc. The eternal, non-eternal ideas, etc. come only after the creation, when we use words. Okay, so sammatam. Everyone accepts, whichever philosopher, whichever religion, they accept the cause to be eternal. अस्यैव जगत्हेतुत्वं श्रुतिः अस्यैव जगत्हेतुत्वं मुहुः वदति. And Shruti very clearly says asyaiva, only this Brahman is the cause for the creation. Very clearly establishes again and again this Brahman to be the cause for the creation. So we are not running behind something which is eternal or anything. We want to understand the truth. The truth, if it is eternal, what can we do? Since there is nothing other than self, there is no idea of eternality, non-eternality, etc. here. You have to understand it. Okay? We will see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.